I Am Man. We are a resource hub that strengthens men and those who are navigating the various phases of life and manhood. We are building a safe space where every man's story matters. We advocate, educate, coach, and empower men on how to redefine their narratives by taking back their power to choose who they desire to be. We provide the space and roadmap for them to reclaim their authentic manhood and masculinity while providing resources that enable them to become whole contributors to their families and community.
Yo. This is your boy Robert Marshall, and I am so excited that we are back for another episode. I have to say, I am saddened that my boy Chris, my co-host, couldn't be here with me today. He had to do some family stuff. But yo, tonight is going to be impactful. It's going to be powerful. It's going to be life-changing. Are you ready? So before we kick off, listen, I want you to go get Pookie and them, go get your brother, your uncle, your nephew, your son. Hey, I want you to go get them, and I want you to do this. I want you to like, I want you to subscribe, I want you to share to this podcast, share to our conversations. Yo, there are conversations where every voice can be heard, where every man matters, regardless of who they are, what age they are. Listen, we are here. So thank you once again for joining us. Please share, please like, please do all that stuff. Y'all know what to do. Listen, before we jump in, I got a couple announcements. Can we have some church announcements? Yo, listen, I'm excited to officially announce to you guys that Little Brown Boy, because of this month, I want to help and bless all y'all with a free version of my Little Brown Boy book. Yo, this is just for y'all. Don't tell nobody. It is just for you. So if you're looking, you can scan that QR code and you can get your free version of Little Brown Boy. Yo, Little Brown Boy is hitting markets. It's everywhere. You don't want to miss it. It is that book. Yo, it is that book. Also, man, hey, anybody who's attended any of our events, you already know what it is. So our next men's conference is happening this month. This month, at the end of this month, is going to be September 24th. And we're talking about it, yo. We are talking about sex, relationships, and situationships. We know some of y'all brothers in situationships. You don't know quite what you in. You in something you don't want to be in, or maybe you married and you're trying to figure out how to improve your love life. Maybe you're single and you trying to figure out, man, how do I manage myself? How do I manage my time? How do I manage my sex life? All that stuff. Yo, it's going to be dope. We have experts who are going to be with us. Matter of fact, my brother, Steve Bozeman, who is a relationship coach, I'm excited. He's going to be with us. So this is a gathering for divorced men, married men, and men who just trying to figure out where they are in their own life. Yo, I also want to highlight one more thing. Hey, we have another book that's coming out. It's being released, Echoes, the story of male survivors overcoming sexual trauma. This book is going to be one for the specific brothers who have experienced sexual trauma. Listen, this book is going to humanize sexual trauma. It's the story of 15 different men from different walks of life who all have experienced and not only experienced, but who have survived the effects of sexual trauma. So listen, watch out. That's coming up. But listen, it's enough about me and what I got going on. I got these two brothers on here. Yo, what's good, man? How y'all feeling?
What's good, man? I'm feeling good, bro.
Good, man. Good, yo. So I'm excited because I got these two amazing brothers who are out here killing the game. So y'all know we had to invite them on the show. You know we had to get them in here. And so yo, tonight we all way in LA. Yo, we all way in California, yo. So James, man, introduce yourself. Tell the people who you are.
What's going on, y'all? This is James Woods, aka That Yoga Dude. Feel free to feel free. I am a yoga instructor, I'm a marriage and family therapist, and I am an organizer, specifically working in social emotional learning, meaning making sure that we have our wellness, our mental wellness, our physical wellness, our emotional wellness together. So I've been, man, just been blessed to get to know Robert Marshall and him doing his thing, aka James Brown of Emotional Healing for Men, because he's out there, hardest working man out there. Happy to be at service, brother.
Man, I've never been called the James Brown. I'm a still that. I'm a still that, bro.
That was a good one for real.
Listen, man, I'm a still that. Yo, thanks, James, for joining us. Yo, and I got my bro, man. We've been rocking together for a long time. Yo,
Okay.
introduce yourself, bro.
Hey, I'm Ivan Ross down here, ATL, a man of many hats, pastor, leader, community leader, businessman, marriage therapist, counselor. Yeah, just a man of many hats, man. But I just want to say I love you, man, and I'm proud of what you're doing, bro. Because it's really dope what you're doing, man. I think you're really helping some really great people, and we're just excited to be here tonight, man. Bless you too, James, man.
Man, let's jump right into this. Yo, so we all deal with mental health. We all deal with, empowering people. Question, man, do y'all ever get tired? Like, do you ever get tired of this type of work that you do?
No,
Nah. Okay. Tell me why, James.
I'll say no because there's so many layers. I went to school and I got a layer of education to put behind what I naturally felt, to put behind the compassion and the empathy that I have for people, and that was a different layer. Then I started getting into the yoga, and that was a different layer. And then getting into the personal development, that was a different layer. But every time I interact with somebody, every time I provide them just with the information that I have, it adds to the layers of it and adds to the layers of my own healing. So I can't get tired of healing myself. So that means I can't get tired of doing the work that I do. That's a good question, man. Thank you.
Man. So I'm curious because many people who, and especially brothers who get in mental health or get in the healing industry, yo, it's normally because they have their own stories, their own pain, their own traumas that they had to walk through. Ivan, man, what does that look like for you?
Wow.
Yeah, I just dropped it.
Yeah, I know. Like you just dropped off, just like
you know how we do it, man. We know how we do it.
yeah. You just jump right into that, and I'll be honest with you. I didn't know what I was struggling with until I got older. I had a trauma when I was about 7 years old. I was molested when I was 7 years old.
Whoa, hold on. Wait, you can't just drop that. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I didn't even know that. We've been brothers for a while, and you ain't there. And I deal with men. You could have been a part of my book, bro.
You never asked.
What am I supposed to do? Just walk up, yo, you've been molested? No, bro. Like I didn't know, but go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and at the time it was crazy because as a kid, you don't really realize what's going on, but you don't realize, until it starts manifesting itself as you get older. You know what I'm saying? You start, for me, it was like outbursts of wrath. It was anger. It was a lot of, and everybody has their own way of dealing with the thing. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't really realize, I had to really trace it back to what really happened to me for me to really understand why I was having, why I had so much anger or why I was so upset. And so, it really made me really have to dig deep, man, and deal with some inner, have some inner healing and some sozo, and really have to deal with some stuff that I didn't realize that was going on in my life. So, man, that's, and so it took me to a place of depression and dark places and, all these other different things but of course it's been so taboo to talk about, you know what I'm saying? Like you can't really, it hasn't been a societal thing for a man to talk about what he's been through, right? We're taught to be so strong and you can't cry and you can't do this and all of this is weak. And so, for us, most of the times we're either bottling it up or we're letting it out on somebody, you know what I'm saying? Whether it's we're mistreating women or whether it's you are fighting or, we may result to some other thing. But So yeah, that's kind of something I went through, man.
Dude. So when did you realize you had a problem? Because this is the reason why I say this. James, I know you haven't physically met Ivan. Ivan is the epitome of a man's man. He is that dude. And I'm just curious, like what when did you realize, yo, I need help?
Man, it was. I'll be honest. I think I noticed it like when I got to college. Like I said, when I got older. But then when I look back over, like my younger life, I started to see it manifest in different things in different ways, right? And so when I got older and I start reflecting back on it, I probably had to say I was, early 20s when I start really like, thinking about it or really start manifesting. And it really started manifesting in my relationships. That's where it really started manifesting. So, I would get in relationships and all the other things, and women be like, he crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it was like, I didn't, I was a little off. It wasn't physical, but I was a little off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could care less a lot of times. So, I believe I became a type of a womanizer. You know what I'm saying? And it didn't bother me. I didn't care. And so I started noticing that probably my early 20s. Yeah.
Okay, I got you. So, man, James, man, what started you on this journey?
I was in college, and it was the year after high school, and I remember being in front of the dorm, and all of a sudden, one of the dudes I got cool with, he just started going off. Hey man, you doing this, you doing that, and blah 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 blah. Just start going off saying stuff that I don't even know where it was coming from. And I was like, man, chill, cool. We was just talking, it's all good. And come to find out, he was schizophrenic. He was diagnosed as schizophrenic, and he had a whole bunch of traumas in his past, and he had a whole bunch of things that he went through. But somehow he found his way to me. And this was like a lot of other situations. I was always the guy that somebody came through that had to just dump off some trauma, we didn't call it trauma back in high school.
Right. We
Dump
don't.
stuff, and I thought that's who I was. That was my role in people's lives, to just be there in that way. Started, like I said, studying psychology and getting more information, and it took me down this journey through education and through different jobs, working in group homes, with people who had severe mental health disorders, working with people who just always came to me with something. And as you said earlier, most people working in this field, they have something that they're working through. I'm still crazy. I'm crazy. And a part of me being crazy
What do
is,
you mean, man? You seem very cool and chill.
what, my crazy looks different. We talking. My crazy looks different. I'm the type of crazy that I come in, especially in relationships. I come in after a great day, and all of a sudden, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I want to break up. I want to leave. I'm the type of person that a lot of people open up to me, and a lot of people share, but then I can put that wall and cut off, and I'm just, my anxiety makes me feel like I have to leave. So a lot of times, many of my relationships have just ended because I refuse to open myself up and get back. I've never been violent. I've never been really display of anger. My cool, my calmness is probably it's welcome, it's inviting. But when it gets to the point of when you just always cool, when you're always calm and you're not expressing yourself, and you're having this repressed and suppressed anger and rage, it's an issue, it's a problem. So a lot of people always tell me, "Oh, you're so cool," but on the inside, I'm boiling up. I'm turning over. I'm dealing with self-doubt. I'm dealing with anxiety. And so I learned that being cool was a way for me to deal with the stresses in my life. My daddy cool, my uncle's cool. Cool is celebrated, especially for black men. If you cool, you celebrate. Oh, he over there, he cool, he chilling. I can do this, do that. Because you got the crazy dude that's going off on people. He's gonna get his respect that way. You got the angry dude that's fighting.
Listen, I was about to say that. I'm like, yo, we got Ivan over here.
You know, you got the dude that's the athlete. You got the dude. We have all these roles that we fit in to deal with our trauma, to deal with how we feel. And I played the role of, oh yeah, everything's cool. I'm gonna stay out the way. I'm non-threatening. You're gonna feel calm and relaxed around me, because that's how I protected myself.
And then you just cut them off.
And then just cut them off, but at the same time, cutting myself off from having
So
confused.
What caused you to be like that though?
I would say growing up, two-parent household, mom and dad loved me, but I grew up. I'll be 35 tomorrow. My mom used to tell me it was like a way of raising me that she had learned, where she really didn't nurture me when I cried and stuff. She was like, let that boy cry, and just my mom. She also came from an abusive background, and she swore to herself. She was like, I will never let my son do what I seen my father do. I will never let my son be the type of man that I've seen in my community. My mom's from South Central, my parents from South Central LA. And you see things growing up. And she said, I want to make sure that my son will never be that type of man that I see. So I'm gonna beat his butt and make sure I instill that respect in him. I'm gonna make sure that he has that fear in him. I'm gonna make sure he has that respect in him of women and me, to be able to not be that type of man that's just out there physically abusing women, doing that. And it makes sense. But at the same time, because of that, I developed a way of just cutting off my feelings and cutting off my emotions and just playing cool, because that kept me safe. I didn't know how my parents was going to treat me. I didn't know how my mom was going to treat me. But if I played cool, at least I can kind of stay out the way.
It was a defense mechanism.
Defense mechanism, trying to just survive, trying to get that attention, get that love, get that
So,
confirmation.
so I got a question for you, because for both of you, you said something that was key. I think that a lot of men live in a survival mentality.
That's right.
I know I do from time to time. I just said this today, that oftentimes I'm afraid of not being enough. I'm
Mm-hmm.
afraid that I'm too much for somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
I'm afraid that I will hurt somebody. I'm afraid of this old man that I'm no longer, trying to, that I'm evolving out of or moving away from.
Right.
That Negro wants to come back,
Right.
And so what I do is I internally build walls.
Mm-hmm.
I start building walls in my emotions. I start building walls. I start, creating distance
Yeah.
between me and other people. And it sounds like some of y'all do this, y'all brothers. We're saying we all do the same thing.
Right.
Now it all looks drastically different,
Right.
but it's all the root cause of it is trauma.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and so, why is it that many of us, especially men of color, and not just men of color, I think it's a man thing, period, where we, to protect ourselves for self preservation, we put up walls.
Mm-hmm.
So, and we put up walls, and my question is, why do we put up walls, and do they really help us?
Mm-hmm.
Because, like,
Um, I think we put up walls because again, I think our culture has allowed us to has shaped some of the things that we've known, right? And so our culture teaches us that you can't be sensitive. That's not a man. It's not a characteristic of a man. You know what I'm saying? So even when you feel like you need to be sensitive in the moment, there's this wall placed up because that's not the thing. That's it's the taboo thing to be. You know what I'm saying? It's taboo to be that. And so I believe we put up these walls in order to, again, because of that. I also think it's upbringing, not just culture wise, but family wise. Like James said, like how his family, how he was brought up, how his mom brought him up. You know what I'm saying? And so those things play a role. I think there's a lot of different moving pieces, and I don't think you can just kind of like lock in on one thing and say this one thing causes us to put up these walls. I think there's multiple things that actually feed into that actually create this thing where you feel like you need to put up walls. And
Right.
so um, I just that's just kind of how I feel about it. There's multiple things that like for me, I have certain the way I was brought up. I have certain expectations of certain people, right? So, for instance, if I call you friend, right, I'm loyal to my friends. If I feel like you break loyalty with me, then I'm going to throw a wall up, and I can't really mess with you because I'm brought up like this. Like my dad is a old street dude, like. I'm talking about super street. You know what I'm saying? Like to the point where even now he's in his 70s. If he goes back home, he still got respect on the streets. Now he's 70 something years old, ain't been in the streets in over I don't know how long, but he still got respect on the streets. So he kind of raising me up. You know, it's certain things that he taught me. You know, loyalty. You know what I'm saying? Friendship. You know, all of these different things that really matter. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't turn your back on your dogs. You know, different stuff like that. So when you have a certain way of being brought up and you have an expectation, and then people break that, you automatically put up walls. And then you know if you're in a relationship, most men, because we're not being sensitive, if we let down our walls and that woman messes that up for us, I'm just using this as an example, and you're trying to be affectionate or you want to let your feelings out, and you feel like she stumps on that, you'll never do that again. You'll never do that again. And so I think there's a lot of different pieces that come with that.
Yo,
I love like pieces too, because that's what I was going to speak on. I don't think I've seen a whole man until I was an adult, because we get different pieces of a man. You get the man that's good with money. You get the man that's the athlete. You get the man that's funny. You get the man that's good with women. We get pieces of men and we praise those pieces. And those pieces sometimes create barriers to us being whole. I'm going to give up my ability to connect with people and be empathetic so I can go get this money, so I can shut off my desire to really connect on the emotional level. So we get so infatuated with the pieces of men that are delivered to us and handed to us, and we take on those pieces to try to build ourselves. And at the same time, I know I never really was taught how to become a whole man, how to enter all those pieces into myself to create who I am. So on the way to doing it, even having the concept of thinking that a man should be whole is new. Instead of just, oh, he's just a breadwinner, or he's this, or he's that. To be a whole man to me is a new concept, and it's something that takes this what we're doing here, the fellowship and building together. So when you don't feel whole, you put barriers up in the pieces in those dark spaces that you haven't developed yet, you haven't nurtured, you haven't found value in. It took me a long time to find value in my empathy, in my ability to connect with other people, especially men. Because growing up, we just didn't do that. Oh, what's wrong with you? Why are you able to have a real conversation with this man? Why? What's going on? What's wrong? So being able to come into a space and be a whole man is something that I value now, but I had to learn it. And now I'm taking those barriers down from the other places that I had to neglect, or I chose to neglect.
So you're using a word that I love, and you said I had to learn what it meant to be a whole man.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of times men are not whole. One, because they never had an example of what it means to be whole. But being a whole man is work. It requires work, and it's typically work that is not praised. It's work that's not celebrated, and it's more has to. I had this thought today about internal structures. And one of my mentors, he talks about creating internal structures in men so that they can be who they need to be. But it's like a house. Any house that does not have a foundation and does not have proper framing, it's not going to stand. So I think many men, our ideologies and our philosophies on what it has meant to be a man has not been based upon whole definitions of what it means to be a man. What we've done is we've taken fragments and pieces, like you said, James, of things that we've seen from our mama, from our uncle and them, from people that we saw on TV, from porn, from our sexual conquest, and we've taken all those things and we've merged them together to piece together our definition of what it means to be a man, and it's not whole, it's fragmented. Can I be real? It's my show. So this is why a lot of the stuff doesn't work that men try. I talk to a lot of brothers. I'm gonna talk about this because I got a conference coming up. We're talking about sex, situationships, and relationships. A lot of times, men who get in relationships with women, I realize there's a difference between making love to a woman and having sex with a woman. Right. And I say that because a lot of times men get their definition of what sex is or how to relate to a woman in that nature by porn. or by somebody on the street. And so they get with a woman and they just trying to go rush in and go in and realize, and the woman is like, and I've heard women complain, no, I'm not a dog. Like, you don't just jump on me. Like, they want intimacy, they want connection. And those are things that that fragment don't teach us. And so we have to unlearn and break down these fragmented definitions of what it means to be a man. And that's just sexually. What about mentally as well? A lot of times men, especially men of color, are not praised for being smart. I had a teacher, I'm an educator, so I just had a conversation with a teacher, and she said, man, I'm having a problem with my boys. And I told him, yo, let's start calling them geniuses, because all they see are rappers. All they see is, they can be good football players or athletes. They can be good, potential artists, but they don't believe that they can be great at in their academics because they've never seen it before. They've never been given that information before or that revelation so they could manifest it. So I think a lot of times brothers who are listening, and even some of the sisters that are listening, maybe the man that you got, he's doing the best that he can because he's operating off of fragments. Your baby father, maybe he, you're having a hard time with him. He's operating off of fragments. He doesn't have a whole picture of what it's supposed to look like. And not to create excuse, but I want you to understand, and I want to talk to the brothers that are out there who are you're trying to ask yourself, why isn't certain things working for you? Why aren't your relationships working? Why aren't you excelling in your job? Why aren't you excelling in your career? Why aren't you excelling with your children? Oftentimes, in order to become a whole man, you have to go back to the root and the foundation of what it means to be a man. And then you have to redo the hard work, the tedious work of rebuilding, relaying the foundation. Maybe some things that your uncle taught you were not cool. They weren't right. Maybe some things that your mom taught you were not right, and they did the best that they could. But it's our responsibility, your responsibility as a man, to go back, tear up that foundation, and relay a new one, and redefine what it means to be a whole man.
And Robert, I'm gonna be honest with you. That sounds like work. I ain't trying to do all that. I like work, man. That sounds like work to be real, and especially because there's no person that can really ask you to be a whole man. Honestly. Right. Only God is the only. This is not even a religious statement, but God is the only thing requesting you to be whole. Because a lot of times, just being a husband is enough. Just being just a father is enough. Just because I know most of my life, especially being a young black man growing up in the LA area, as long as I didn't go to jail, as long as I wasn't selling drugs, as long as I wasn't gang banging, I'm doing good. Oh, and then I get a degree. Oh, I'm doing real good. I'm not in jail right now. I'm doing good. So the level of complacency that a lot of people have is just, it is what it is. But for you to really even have the desire to be whole comes from you and your relationship.
So I didn't know a lot of times, many of us don't know that we're broken or fragmented until we get in a relationship.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You sound like you know what I'm talking about, Ivan.
Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna drop this fact. I'm about to drop some facts on you real quick because I was doing some research. Check this out. 60% of all men experience at least one trauma in their life. Mm-hmm. 60% of all men experience one trauma in their life, which can produce PTSD weeks, months, and even years after the incident happens. And so it can happen to us and not show up until you're 21 years old in a relationship. And not show up until you're 35 and not even realize what's really happened. And I had a lady one time, I was sitting in church and I was talking to her about some of the stuff I was going through. And she said to me, she says, you've got to go back and find the seed that was planted in your life that created that tree that you're dealing with. Because the thing literally, the seed that was planted had literally taken root and created an entire tree in my life, right, that produced fruit that I didn't even realize where the fruit was coming from. So I'm over here angry. I'm over here depressed. I'm over here in a dark place. I'm womanizing. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Those were the fruit of the seed that was planted in my life. And most of us men, we're talking about men, but most of us are dealing with a seed that was planted so early that we can't even remember the seed. A lot of us, we've been molested or gone through things when we were 4 or 5 years old and not even understanding what the heck was going on at the time. And then it manifests years later. And so when you talk about relationships, that thing started manifesting in my relationships, bro. It was crazy. But I'm still not seeing it. I'm still not seeing it. And then at some point I was like, wait a minute, hold on, let me deal with this. And I'm gonna tell you this, it was so traumatic for me. I didn't realize how traumatic it was that, when I got molested, I was living in Cincinnati. That's where I was born, Cincinnati, Ohio. And I literally one summer, I went back to Cincinnati and I was looking for the guy. I had a weapon and I'm driving around, like going past where I think he used to live or where he used to hang out, so on and so forth. Like, I'm looking for him because literally that one incident created so much just trauma in my life that I couldn't even, like, I had a coach. I was playing football and it was my junior year in high school, and I was better than the senior quarterback. But my coach told me, he said, you can't lead this team. You have a bad attitude. Your temper's too bad. And they used to call me BA, bad attitude, on the field. Everywhere that I go, I was faster than anybody. I was better than probably almost anybody on the field. But I had a bad attitude. And my high school coach told me, he said, you'll never make it to college because nobody's going to deal with your attitude. And he was absolutely, positively correct. My attitude was so bad, but it stemmed from what had happened to me. Right. And so that went into not just my relationships with women, but my relationships with friends, my brothers, people who I call friends. Like, bro, I would just cut people off at the drop of a hat. I ain't got nothing to do with you. Don't care. Don't matter. Like, I don't really want to deal with you. And so all of this stuff started manifesting in my life because of the trauma that I had to deal with when I was younger and didn't even realize that I was dealing with this. So how many people are watching this thing right now that's got trauma that's manifesting in their lives as adults and don't even realize where the seed is in order to deal with the fruit? If you don't cut the seed off, the fruit the tree will continue to produce fruit. It's going to continue to produce fruit. I don't care how many times you can pull the fruit off of the branch. If the tree is still there, it's going to continue to produce fruit in its season. It may calm down for a little bit. You're like, oh yeah, I ain't been mad for about 3 months. Yeah, that's because it ain't season yet. But the moment that season rises up, that fruit is going to produce again. And so any tree that you don't want to come back, you've got to go destroy the roots and everything that has to do with it. If not, it's going to continue to show up in our lives. I cut down a tree yesterday in my house. It was hanging over. You know what I had to do? And when I cut off the branches, and the branches have been sitting there for 3 days, they were full of life when I first cut them down. Now they're all withered up. Why? Because they're not connected to the tree anymore. And so we have to understand that fruit that we see, the anger, the depression, all these things that we see are fruit of the seed that has been planted in our lives.
Listen, let me pass the offering back. I'm gonna put up my Cash App. I'm gonna put up my Cash App. I'll send it to you. I'm gonna just put up my Cash App up there. Listen, man, you're talking truth. It's a lot of work to go back and pick up those seeds. But my brother who's watching, ask yourself, have you ever asked yourself, man, why am I angry? Why can I easily cut people off? Why is it that I don't hear people, but I just, sometimes you could hear something, or somebody can say something that triggers you, and you just go clean straight off. Or maybe you like James, where you're chill, you're cool, but you deadly. You could cut somebody off in 2 minutes, and inside you're just like, it's self-preservation. You're trying to protect yourself. Or maybe you're like me, yo, where you're performance oriented. I'm very performance oriented. The way trauma impacted me was I would do things and produce things so that I could earn people's love, that I can earn people's respect, that I can, and I felt, and when you live in that type of space, that's unhealthy too. Because even though we become high achievers, inside, it's never enough.
Yeah.
It's never enough. Yo, and it's not that what you do won't be enough. You interpret it as you're not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And so, how many times as men, as brothers, have we said to ourselves, why are that we are not enough? That what we do is not enough. And if we fail at something, we're not enough. And James, I'm with you with anxiety, man. I struggle with anxiety so bad, and it feels like sometimes my insides are jittering. I talked about it on the show before, and it feels like I have no control. And when it feels like I have no control, then I'm like, yo, I need to prove that I'm worth something. I need to prove or that I can that I'm worth or I'm valuable. And so one thing, Ivan, you talked about you're the opposite. You're very like boisterous, loud. I'm gonna get my respect. I'm the opposite. I become a people pleaser. I'm the person that's always saying I'm sorry. I'm the person that's always like, yo, let me not ruffle any feathers because I don't want them to leave me. I
Mm.
don't I don't want them to walk away from me. And that's just as unhealthy as being loud or as being calm. So,
Yeah.
question, what does this healthy balance look like?
Mm.
I would say for me, a healthy balance is, as you said, when I'm feeling that anxiety, when I'm feeling that depression, really getting in the moment with it instead of trying to be too cool to feel anything, trying to pacify, trying not to experience what's going on. Really being in the moment, like, man, I'm feeling anxious right now. Let me take a breath. Let me pause. Let me get out the story that I'm running in my mind that I
Oh,
don't.
wait, can we pause about? I gotta pause that because you just said something that's deep right there.
Yes, sir.
You heard it, Ivan. You heard it, bro.
Yeah, I heard it. Go ahead.
You said I can't let you run over that, James. 'Cause that was rich, bro.
Yeah.
You said I gotta get out of the story
Yes,
that
sir.
I'm playing in my head.
Yes, sir. Because, like,
Oh, wait a minute. You got to seal out that, bro. You can't just you just dropped the bomb there. I gotta get out of the I'm gonna say that again. I've got to get out of the story that
mhm.
I'm playing in my head. Let me interpret that. Let me preach that just a little minute. I have to get out of this false reality or imagination that I've created, this alternative reality that's not real, that only exists within, that's often motivated by fear and trauma. I gotta stop. It's a cycle that continues. It's a track. It's a broken record. It's a broken DVD player that keeps looping around, and it creates this false narrative, this vain imagination. Go ahead. In my head. Go ahead, man. I can go. I can keep going with that.
The
Go.
head of a man can be a scary place that they create.
Ooh,
I've
wait a
seen.
minute. Ooh.
It's real, man. I've seen it. And I've lived
Oh my God.
where even my own father, who I love and I cherish, who have always been there, has created stories of why he needs to separate, why he needs to kind of be over here. Oh, the family not going to understand me. They're not going to get me. I'm kind of this. I'm kind of that. And these stories, as we said, are roots. These stories are that little music, that little noise, that little black background that constantly plays the story of I'm not enough. I can't join. That activates that anxiety within our body that takes us to those crazy places, that takes us to those places where we got to be distant, we have to isolate, we're not enough. If we don't come with something physical, if we don't come with some more money, if we don't come with something that we're producing, we are not a man. Those stories are what allude us to what the images of manhood that we have developed over the years. but it can take us away from who we are as a man, as a true man, and take us away from who we are as a healthy man, a whole man. So for me, when I catch that story, when I'm in that place, when I catch that story, I gotta take a breath. I gotta get back into reality, because you can't breathe a breath that haven't happened yet. You can't breathe a breath from the past. You can only breathe a breath that's happening right now. And from that power of presence, from that power of right now, you can cut that story off. You can dig down into those roots, and you can move forward and produce the fruit from a sense of truth and a sense of honesty and a sense of wholeness that you are developing right there in that moment. Not that crazy place in that story that you got in your head. So as men, we protect ourselves with these stories because we got to see it a mile ahead. As the head of the family, as the head of the community, we got to know what's going to happen down the road. And those can create stories that are not always true. So once we have an understanding of where we are in our reality and within ourselves, we can backtrack out that story and be present, not only for our family, our community, but for ourselves, and start that healing process. Because I know what it's like to have a chest seized up with anxiety. I know what it's like to have a struggling time getting out of bed because I'm depressed. But that's just a story that I run in my head, and I got to cut that story off and move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's good. You're absolutely correct, man. That's so good.
Can you be my therapist from LA?
So good. I honestly believe that the biggest, here's what I feel like I keep hearing, like one of the biggest issue, and I'm talking about this is the biggest issue for mankind in general.
Right.
It's identity.
Of course.
It's identity, right? When you don't know, when you truly don't know who you really are, right? When you don't know who you really are, everything else comes to your mind. Oh, I'm not enough. I'm not this. I'm not that. I'm not this. I'm not that. And when you really are this, if you really truly understood who you were, when we understand that the trick, and I'm gonna go a little Bible on y'all, okay? So just stick with me. But when we understand that the trick of the enemy in the garden was to steal the identity of man, and he's been doing it ever since. Watch it. He says to him, "You'll be just like God." The problem was that they were already like, they couldn't get no more like God. Everything that they had was already there. God had placed every single thing in them already. The trick was to make them rethink who God had already created them to be. And from that point on, we've been fighting to understand who we are. The trick was, he says, you'll be, if you eat, listen, no. If you do this, you'll be just like God. Go back and read it. That's exactly what the enemy says. And so they eat the fruit, destroy the identity, and from there, Christ comes to return us back to identity or our rightful place prior to the fall of man. And so what men are dealing with now is we don't understand who we are, therefore all these other struggles come. So anxiety comes and fear comes and all these other things because we don't understand who we are. Anxiety is simply this. When you can't control it, you have fear because you can't control a situation. And because we're humans, we always want to control the situation. And anytime we can't control the situation, we get hectic. Think about it. If you're driving your car and you're just chilling, you're going down the road, you're chilling, you got control of the car. But let you hit an ice patch. Let you hit something that causes that car to go out of control, outside of your control. All of a sudden, fear, anxiety, all these things immediately shoot up in you. Why? Because you have no control. And so when we start to understand who we are in our own lives, and we can get out of our own heads and understand who we are, then I believe that's when things can really turn. But here's the thing, y'all said it earlier. It's work. It's a fight. And ain't nobody trying to fight. Who want to fight every day?
Oh, but hold on. Okay, let me get on my note. Listen, brother, you have a warrior and a champion on the inside of you. And I believe when you wake up to the reality of who you really are, you will begin to fight for your life. You'll fight for your destiny. You'll fight for your peace. You'll fight for your hope. You'll fight for your joy. You'll fight for your future. You'll fight for your kids in order to become who you were always created to be. Listen, man, I like this is one of the first shows where I don't have to say much. Like I'm sitting here like, okay, all right, well, I don't know if Ivan stole that from out of my book or from out of my one of my revelations, but hey, listen, I'm down. I love it. I love it. Man, James, Ivan, I think we normally go an hour, but man, I don't think we need you today because I think, bro, that we've said a mouthful.
Yeah.
Like,
I do want to give just one thing.
Go ahead, man.
Because Ivan did say something about identifying, and that's what it is, a constant process of identifying who I am. And I do want to give a tool that has helped me to begin to identify and find who I am. And it has been a process of learning about meditation, learning about meditation. So I know when I initially thought about meditation, it was like, all right, you got to go to the Himalaya mountains, you got to shave your head, you got to home and do all that kind of stuff. It's for me, it has been a practice of being aware and being quiet. It's just being shutting up and being still, being quiet within myself. So I got into yoga initially as to bend and to stretch, athlete, feeling good in my body. But we do all that bending and stretching so we can be able to sit down within our body without jittering, without picking up a phone, without picking up a fork, without running to somebody else and running our mouth. So it's a practice of learning how to be quiet within ourselves so we can start to acknowledge when that story starts to go on. And we can separate ourselves from that story. And one of the biggest things I have found for me in my practice of meditation is just about being able to breathe. So if we can, if we may, do y'all mind if we just breathe for a second?
Let's do it.
Do it.
So getting quiet, getting silent within yourself, within your body, first thing do is just relax your shoulders, take that stress out. We carry so much as men. Let your chest relax, that anxiety, letting your legs just kind of relax, just finding a comfortable place within yourself. And we're going to breathe in through the nose, and then we're going to breathe out of the nose. And as we breathe in through the nose, we're going to fill our belly up. We're going to breathe all the way down into our diaphragm, our ribs, a deep, deep belly breath. And as we exhale through the nose, the whole body is just going to collapse. And we're going to let that tension and tightness release from the body. So we're going to take 3 of these deep inhales and exhales. Find a comfortable spot for your hands and your arms. Feel relaxed, feel secure, feel safe. And on the count of 3, we take a deep inhale through the nose. 1, relax the face. 2, relax the jaw. 3, inhale, breathe in. Slow, long exhale through the nose. Let's take 2 more of those. Deep inhale, fill the belly up, let it expand as you breathe in the fresh oxygen. Slow, long exhale, letting go of the tightness, the tension, the stress. Deep inhale fills the body. Breathe in. Long exhale lets go of anything that is not you, anything that's preventing you from being whole and healed, letting it go through the exhale. Just taking a second to see how you feel, notice what happened in your mind, what happened in your body, and just allow it to be. Don't judge it, don't criticize it, don't make it anything. Just allow it to be. Good. Cool. Thank you. Thank you so much, Robert, for allowing me to do that.
You didn't just come and shut my whole show down, did you?
I thank you for allowing me to do that, man. It's something I do for myself.
Listen, man, that's powerful. I think, you know what's so brave? And I never thought about meditation and yoga being brave and courageous. Because you said a statement earlier. You said that the head of a man can be a crazy place. So to be able to sit down and acknowledge what's going on within takes bravery. Yeah. It takes courage. because you have to contend with you.
Right.
You have to acknowledge you. And I think a lot of times, James, what we do is we fill our schedules. Like you said, we pick up our phone, we go talk to somebody else because we're really in an attempt trying to get away from ourselves.
Right.
So that takes a real man.
And I appreciate you saying that, and I appreciate y'all participating in that, and even being vulnerable enough to close your eyes. A lot of times it's difficult for men to feel safe with even in themselves. So closing your eyes is something that you don't do because you're supposed to be aware, awake. You got to see everything. So when you're able to close your eyes and be comfortable within yourself, it starts a process of healing. And as you said, identifying who you are on a level and root deep. So I thank y'all.
So can I ask you a question? What do you hear when you close your eyes? When you what do you hear? What do you hear from within?
I meditate on a daily basis, and as of now, I meditate about 30 minutes at a specific time of the day. And so the first part of my meditation, I'm hearing everything. I got to get this done. I shouldn't have said that. Why did I send this text? Blah, blah, blah. I start hearing that. But I focus on my breath. Every time my mind starts to run off in a direction, I bring it back to my breath. That's why the breath is so important. It is an anchor. That crazy mind of the man, it has to have a safe place to go through, and that's the breath. So every time all the things in my mind start just taking me everywhere, I bring it back to the breath and the sensations of my breath within my body, the sound of my breath, all of what my breath is bringing me. Because, like I said, it's constant, it's real, it is something that I can hold on to. So as I'm jumping into my meditation, especially depending on whatever is my mind, I'm going to hear all those thoughts. But as I continuously herd it back towards the breath, towards the safe place, towards my constant, towards my anchor, it starts to quiet that. And it just starts to help me just to focus on the breath and focus on calm and relax. The mind is never going to just stop because that's what it was designed to do. Always thinking, always going. But you can help it to focus on something that's peaceful, like your breath.
Mhm. Pretty good. That's good. I mean, just, and I know we got to go, but just when I think about it, being able to just do that for a moment to get away from the business of life. Life will make you so busy, right, that you can't even take that moment to just seem like you never take a deep breath. It's like you almost coming up for air to only go back in, and not have that moment to really just relax, you know what I'm saying, and take your mind off of that. And so, and I know some guys probably watching like, oh man, I ain't doing no meditation, I ain't doing no yoga, whatever. I say this: if it works, okay. If yoga don't work for you, meditation don't work, go find you a gym. I don't know, you know what I'm saying, but find you something that allows you to get away from life, right? Get away from the busyness and all the other things. Like the meditation was dope. I'm gonna try to, at least take me a couple deep breaths for, you know what I'm saying? If I do nothing else, take a couple deep breaths, in the middle of the day or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But where whoever's watching this, find you a moment to where you can have that moment in time and just, like I said, it could be the gym, it could be yoga, it could be meditation, it could be, whatever that is, but find you an opportunity to do that so that you can have that, get that space. You know what I'm saying?
100%.
Man, that's crazy, man. James, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Like, I think for me, what I heard, and I think what I have to contend with, if I can be transparent,
Mm,
was help me.
mm, mm.
It was help me. So that makes me wonder and makes me want to go deeper within myself
Woo.
and be like, yo, what's going on?
Mm,
Like, what part of you needs help? Why do you need? I That was huge. I don't mind being vulnerable. I don't mind, but that's what I heard. I heard as soon I heard the scream, it said, "Help me," and
mm,
I'm just like, "Ooh, okay." that must mean I need to go see a therapist somewhere real quick.
That's real. That's real. You can start to hear that little voice of the child that was traumatized, the child that was abused, the child because you you turn the volume down on all the other stuff, like you said, Ivan, about the busyness of life and responsibilities that you have to do. You get to push those into the background, and that real you gets to step forward, and you give it a mic, and it's going to express what it's asking for and what is needed, and it's on you to act on that, man. I thank you for sharing that a lot, man. About
You know what's so that's dope, man. You know what I didn't notice? Somebody just said that the Apple Watch has a breathing app on it. It does, and I always ignore it. But
I'm gonna tell you what helps. Something that helps me though, for real, because nighttime is really when I do a lot of my thinking. I do a lot of my creative thinking. I do a lot of my planning or whatever. So a lot of times when I'm trying to go sleep, my mind is like still running, like it's still running. And I'll lay in the bed for a while. And I found this app. It's the Calm app. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's the
Right.
Calm app. I'll throw the Calm app on, and before you know it, I'm asleep. And I'm in a good sleep. It's got like rainwater, it's got all these different things, but it allows my brain to just get calm, right? Get in a place of calm. And so I even find myself sometimes at work, like playing the Calm app throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? And letting that be, you know what I'm saying? So it may help somebody. I don't know, somebody that may not be able to sleep or your mind's running. Try the Calm app just to, kind of cool you down and chill you out, when you're trying to relax.
man, well, dude, I appreciate y'all both, man. James, Ivan, y'all done shut this show down today. Y'all, you give me life now. James have made me go look within. Now I go figure out what's wrong with me.
James,
Uh,
Hey,
James and shut me down and made me realize like you got some issues, bro. Oh my God. So listen, if you guys have enjoyed James, yo, I want to put this up here. Yo, James, tell us about your next event you got coming up, bro.
It's the 5th annual Million Man Meditation. We started this, man. It was another incident where a young black man lost his life at the hands of a police shooting. And I was angry, I was confused, I didn't know what to do, but I also had these tools of yoga, mindfulness, and meditation, and I wanted to share them with other men going through the same things. So it is going to be a live health and wellness event featuring African American male yoga and meditation instructor, a black male Tai Chi, black male nutrition instructor. We got the homie Lester Young, who's going to be there sharing some
Oh, okay.
inspiration and talking to the brothers. It really is just going to be an online day of communion and really getting deeper into this information to help us heal. So it's going to be just tips and tools and actual resources that you can take for yourself on your way to healing and digging in those roots and doing the work that we know we can't do alone, but we got to do for ourselves.
Man.
And we set the date on there, October 23rd, 2021. Register. You can go to my page and register and find out. And we'd love to have you there.
Yo, that's crazy. That's great. Listen, I want you guys to please go to his page. Please go to his page. His website is right there. That yoga dude. Go and go because he just shut this whole show down and he didn't yell. He didn't scream. He just said, "Close your eyes and look within. Breathe."
That's definitely dope.
Listen, man. Also, he also, man, tell us about your children's book, bro.
This is another experience. So I was working as a therapist in the community, of course, black male therapist. They put me all the little black and brown boys. Shout out to the Black and Brown Boys book. And I wanted to leave something behind for them. And we put it in the form of a book. A young man named Timmy Tut, he's going through some issues in his life, but he actually goes back in time to ancient Egypt where he discovers he's an Egyptian prince and he learns skills like meditation, mindfulness, and how to deal with his anger, frustration, brings it back into modern times and helps himself and his family to deal with those. So if you have a youngster and they're dealing with some anger, dealing with some frustration, going through some of the things we talked about today, it's the book full of tools to help them on the way through that journey. We have first and second one. So go to www.princetimmytut.com and check out the books.
Yo, my friends are so dope. Like y'all are so dope. Ivan, real quick, man, tell us about your line, man. Tell us about your clothing line, bro.
The brand, as you see, I am my only competition. And that's in every aspect of your life, whether it's your yoga, whether it's your mental health, whether it's whether it's your marriage, whether it's your business. Like nobody can stop you but you. You want to heal, you can heal if you want to heal. You want to forgive, you can forgive if you want to forgive. You want to get in shape, you can get in shape if you want to get in shape. Like literally, the only person that's ever going to stop you is you. And so that's the brand. Been pushing it, for a few years now, just getting people to see that, it's really me versus me. You know what I'm saying? It's not about competing with nobody else's. My podcast is not going to compete with your podcast, and I'm not trying to do anything to compete with James. It's just me, just trying to be the best version of who I can be every single day of the week. And so I just try to get better one day at a time, and so that's the brand, IMILC. I am my only competition. Look out for some things coming. Might be a hardback or something gonna show up soon. Yeah, I'm only competition book. Yeah, so get ready. Got some things coming. I ain't got all my stuff together like the brothers on here, but it's coming. So stay tuned.
Yo, listen, I want to say I love you, brothers. You guys have been amazing.
Wow.
Listen,
Love you, bro.
if you're listening live or you're catching the replay, please go engage with these brothers. Go engage with their content. Yo, James, let me know how I can support that event. I would love to be a part of it. I would love to be a part of it. I almost don't want to end this show because there's been such richness. Like I've been doing shows for a while, but you have those shows that create moments, that create impressions on you that you're just like, wow. And I think tonight was one of those shows onto this. And so, listen, I love y'all. We got to get out of here. It's been over an hour. Yo, peace out. Y'all continue to spread light and love. I'm excited. We look forward to seeing you guys at our upcoming conference within the next couple of days. It's totally free. If you have not registered, go register right now. It's the Iron Man Men's Conference. Go to ironmaninc.com/events. It's totally free. You can get it. Also, right now, because of the hardships and what everybody's going through in life, I am giving this book away for free. All you have to do is go to my website, roberthmarshall.com, and you can grab this book, Just Believe. If you've been struggling with your faith, you've been struggling with self-doubt, with fear, listen, go grab this book. It'll be a blessing to you. Yo, peace out. I love y'all. We'll see y'all next time.